Hello, you beautiful, amazing people. How's it going? Welcome to 2024. We're making it. Hopefully, you're still on your grinds if you have New Year's resolutions. Some of us are, some of us aren't. But most importantly, I'm beside savvywrightvideos. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I feel like I need to hang up the name of Savvy Wavy One because my Twitter is no longer there. RIP.
Right.
Someone hacked me, but not good enough for me to care. Anyways, how I'm actually doing lately is good. For my 2024, like one of my goals was to really improve my health, like even to the micro bits of being like, I want to get a blood test. I had a meeting with the naturopathic doctor of just being like, what here are my goals, how can I achieve them? I even as small as like I'm having a lot of brain fog, a lot of memory loss. And she was like, let's test you for mold. You live somewhere, where there's a lot of mold because it's humid. And that leads me into my first hot take of we are too old to not listen to our bodies. And I feel like vitamin deficiency is a real thing. We need to get help. Like in a simple example was my eye was twitching and it wouldn't stop twitching. And I'm hypochondriac, so I start freaking out. I look up like, what could lead from an eye twitch? And it was saying I was deficient in B12, vitamin D, and electrolytes. And I noticed I had been going to the sauna almost 5 days a week. I was like not having any electrolytes. Our water here is filtered and it's like reverse osmosis. So you have to put in the electrolytes yourself. Hadn't been doing that. So I bought some vitamins, got some electrolytes, bought the Element because I feel like that's a really clean brand.
Woo, woo, woo.
And I feel like, when you're 15, you're untouchable. Everything is fine. And now that I'm 28, I feel great. I feel young, but I think like we're too old to not really listen and be like, hey, I may need a vitamin or two in my life, right?
I think we're just at that age where I'm learning things don't go downhill at 25. People have this idea. It's just you can't do nothing. Like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, I used to think like 25, you're going to wake up feeling broken. 30, you're going to have wrinkles and look old and you're not going to be able to move. It's like, no, you just have to warm up. You have to do the mobility. You have to do the skincare. But like,
Yes.
we can prolong feeling good, but we can't just survive on 4 hours of sleep anymore.
Yes, I completely agree. We can't act like complete teenage delinquents anymore, which, guys, my high school reunion was 2 days ago. I didn't get to go, but they had this private Instagram and like classic millennials, they got drunk and they like kept posting posts and stories accidentally because they didn't know how to work their freaking phones. And it was very entertaining. So speak of teenagers.
Millennials, not boomers. You invented Instagram.
I know. But it was so entertaining. I was so thankful that they did it.
You know what? I respect it. It's nice for you.
It's great for me, yeah. All right, well, how are you? What's new in your life?
I'm doing good. I am in Sweden, spending time with Megs. In my January is kind of my crazy month of working because it is all my like year wrap-ups come, and I always tell myself, you're going to edit it a little bit every day. And no, I don't. I wait till the very last minute, and then I have crazy deadlines, which brings me to my hot take, which I saw on a YouTube video, and I was like, this hits home. And at first I wasn't going to say it because it feels like a little, who cares? But I feel so many people make content now. So many people do Instagram, whether it be for their work or whatever, or they want to do YouTube or they want to do TikTok, whatever. So I'm going to say this. Influencing and content creation is the new repackaged 9 to 5. Because every day you have to post something. You have to do like, it's no longer about like creating fun things and creating these videos. And it used to be super artistic and whatnot. And now I feel it's just like gun to your head. These crazy hours, have to do this every day, have to do all these. And like, I'm like, I feel like even if you don't work a 9 to 5, if you want to be in this world, you work a 9 to 5, but you're also expected to work in the after hours because all the people you send stuff to, do things to, work 9 to 5. So you have to have office hours to respect people you communicate with. But then people go off work, so you got to do it after. And this doesn't just, at first I thought this was unrealistic, but I think of friends who own businesses and they do Instagram on top of it, all this. But I think everyone was like, we want to do Instagram and content creation. And I was like, no, You're just monetizing your art and taking the fun out of it. And so there's my hot take. I still love it, but I think these algorithms are like more. Like it's, do you know what I mean? They're feeding it. So you just constantly have to have output, but then the consumer is overwhelmed because there's too much output. So it's kind of this weird cycle we're in.
It is weird. I have this ongoing joke with Millie. There's this girl that we absolutely love in content creating. And she's that girl, like documents every single part of her life. And all I think about is, how do you have the time? How do you have the time to film it, edit it? And you'd be proud. I hired a video editor for my YouTube channel because I have a small channel and I was never posting because I didn't have time, because I was like juggling everything else. And I was like, you know what? 2024 is the year of like letting go of being so type A with your content and getting help. And so far I'm a week in and I'm really happy. And I have three videos already made because I feel like I can breathe. So I get it where it's really a lot of hours. You don't think about it.
No, I think the biggest trick with any job or anything like this is just like, and I'm glad to hear you're doing it, because figure out what you actually enjoy doing and get help in everything else. Because like, that's what I enjoy, making music. And I enjoy the editing and like making the videos. Oh, you know what I mean? It's like, where do you consider
So you enjoy
art?
it all?
Huh?
So you enjoy
I don't
it
know.
all?
Emails, all that, the planning, the negotiation, anything business related. Yeah, couldn't care less. Posting, social media, even. You know what I mean? So it's like finding, like, I couldn't care less about Instagram and TikTok. I won't lie. Couldn't care less. But so, you know what I mean? Let's just figure out what you actually like. But I'm going on a rampage.
Determined to become a TikToker this year.
Do it.
Look out, guys. Follow me on savwright, because I'm posting every single day and I'm having so much fun. And this is, I think there's nothing to lose. It's just for fun. It's a little time consuming, but it is just for fun. And that's what I'm focusing on.
As long as it feels artistic or fun, I'm here for it. But as soon as it doesn't, it feels like a 9 to 5. Check yourself.
Check yourself before you wreck yourself. I think that's from Parks and Rec. All right. Well, today's episode, we wanted to get into the 10 foundations to include in your fitness routine. So if you're feeling lost going into a new year, you have a physique goal, a fitness goal, maybe you want to run a marathon, whatever it may be. We just wanted to include like the most important steps into our fitness routines in like hopes that it helps you when you're trying to like plan out what you're going to do in this coming year. And I wanted to kick it off with what's your fitness goal for 2024?
So I guess I'm giving a little sneak peek for the podcasters and my year challenges, because I already know what they are. But one, I'm working on improving posture, like always. I'm throwing this in. I have no real running goals. I was originally going to do a marathon. I don't know. I'm going to wait till spring because I'm in the off season and running and I don't know how intense. I'm going to do some halves with my family, get better at my yoga flows. And then I'm really working on, I don't know how to even phrase this, like getting better at like performing. So I want to like learn ballet and dancing and just like being on stage, like, and that's a little sneak peek on a video I'm working on. But yeah, like dancing, I guess.
I feel like you have a ballerina body.
Oh, I guess thank you.
Like you're very graceful and yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm so flattered.
I
was like, I'm going to attempt to do ballet for 30 days. So half is just looking the park. So I'm going to remember that when you say it and I look like an idiot. I'm going to be, you look like it. You look like it.
If you ever need advice from a professional ballerina, one of my really good friends, that's what she does. And I'm always fascinated by it. Yeah. She owns she owns Dance Aspen. It's the professional ballerina art institute in Aspen. So,
wow.
I plug.
Oh my God.
I'll help you.
Shout out. Please do. I'm jealous. It's so cool. Anyways, I should keep up.
I'll send you her contact.
I want to hear yours.
Okay. Mine is, I kind of was similar to you where I thought about doing a running goal, but lately I've been doing a lot of research on like the increased cortisol and the stress that goes into running. And I think running is great. And I do think exposure to stress is great for you as well. But to me, I was like, is it worth putting that much stress on my body for a marathon that I don't know if I love it? Because I ran with my dad for that 5K. It was really fun, but it didn't give me like a running bug. So my goal, a compromise with myself, was run a 10K, but I don't even have to enter anything. It's just like I could run a 10K at home. I want to push myself with my mileage, but not go too above and beyond. Like I want it to be practical and comfortable, and like I'm just really looking into my health this year. So that was like part of it, was like, I don't want to put that much stress on my body. I don't have time to run a marathon. I'm not going to try and squeeze it in just to say I did it. So that's my whole spiel. And I'm investing in my health, like I said, where I'm just getting help on what I'm deficient in, because I've never been a girl to do that. And I'm like, I should probably do that. If I want a family, if I want, like I just got to do that.
I love it.
Thank you. With that being said, let's get into our top tips in creating a fitness routine. I'm basically going to narrate them, and Keltie and I are just going to pop in for those that are curious. So first things first is goal setting. And what I mean by this is be specific. You want them to be achievable, attainable, keep yourself motivated. If you're reaching for the stars, that's great, but you also have to be realistic with it. So stop blindly shooting for a bullseye is what I'm trying to get out. So like figure out what that goal is and how you can accomplish it, and make micro goals. Because I give the best example of somebody that's like, I want to lose, say, 20 pounds in 20 days. Like that's such an extreme example, but it's like, that's just you blindly aiming and hoping you get there. Like, how would you? Is that even achievable depending on your body? Like, what steps would you take? What do you have to say on goal setting?
I will say it's just a way to track it and a way to be able to reflect. Like that's my biggest thing. I think we all know our goals and we all know the steps we have to take. Like I think we can hear 100 things and we've all heard it, but it's you have a goal and it's a little step every single day to get there, and you'll eventually get there. And I think where a lot of people is they bite off more than they can chew, and then they don't realize they're making any progress, so they feel defeated and they quit. So I think it's like you said, have a realistic goal and just find a way you can actually track it and see your progress. Even as simple as like I make a sheet, and I'm a big streak person. Like I love it. I'm on workout number 5 of the year, workout number 6. It's nothing that sexy, but there's something satisfying to me like, oh, I've done 22 Pilates classes this year, whatever the case is. And I'm a big component of filming yourself working out. Even just something, just pick 1 or 2 things. And I think nothing shows progress better than like your form changes. And like, yeah, you can have physical changes like your body and all that, but that can just depend on what you ate the day before. But if you can look back at your yoga flow, your squat, your running form, and so just like once a month, film yourself working out a little bit and compare. And I think that's a really, those are like the most satisfying things.
Absolutely. I love that. All right. 2, regular exercise. And I think that's a variable for anybody when they have a fitness goal in general. You got to exercise, right? So I think the key with this is consistency. So when you're trying to set these goals, whenever you're going into it, how are you doing it and when are you doing it? Whenever I train girls, I make them get so nitty gritty to like, what outfit are you even wearing? Are you putting it out the day before? Because I'm like, you have to know how you're going to get yourself to the gym if you're someone that doesn't like to go. And majority of us don't like to go. Otherwise, this wouldn't be a big problem, right?
True. And I'll also say consistent over perfection, because I think nothing's going to be perfect. And like even most training programs account that you'll miss 30% of them. Like not to give you an out, but life happens. And I think that's the biggest thing is like, what can you do the bare minimum? I'll give this an example, and I'm as guilty of this. So I'm trying to create a certain amount of workouts as part of this challenge I'm working on in the year. And today was supposed to be day number 5, and I'm sick. And I don't want to go to the gym because I don't want to make other people sick. And I was like, you know what? 5 minutes at home. What can you do? And I did like mobility exercises. I did some yoga flows. So I still had the satisfaction that I did workout number 5. Was it perfect? No. But you know what I mean? It still happened. And I still left that place in my day for where the workout was. So whether you're busy, you're like, just go outside for a 5-minute walk. Just go do 10 push-ups. There's something mentally about humans of just keeping that little habit rolling, and it creates momentum. So you don't have to be perfect, but just be consistent as much as you can.
I love that. All right. 3 is variety. So what I meant by this, and I think this is a huge tip, not a lot of people try to put into it. So like think of people that are marathon trainers. Like you have to also strength train, but a lot of the times like we won't view it that way, or we won't think to include even the workouts maybe we don't love. Like I don't love doing yoga. I don't love doing Pilates. I'm not very flexible and it kind of hurts me. But like it's good for my overall like balance, flexibility, really just working different muscle groups and to prevent the plateaus overall. I even was thinking about how online you'll see strength training girlies will like make fun of that in a sense where they're like, oh no, like I can't get on a reformer's Pilates table, but like I can lift, 200 pounds, whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
I think to each their own, but I think there's some power when you're open to trying a variety of workouts and seeing like what could benefit you, because we're not robots. We should try multiple trainings and see what you like and what you don't like.
And it keeps it fun. Like, and if you're a little intimidated, try it with a friend. Like me and my girlfriends try and do every Saturday. We do a group class together and it just keeps it fun. And like, I feel when you can remind yourself that fitness can be craveable and fun, and that sounds so cheesy. I sound like some like, oh, thanks, mom. But I find that's an easy way to be consistent and always want to work out when you remind yourself that moving your body isn't a chore. It's actually enjoyable. And one of the easiest ways is like, try new workouts. Just because you're like, I used to be a girl who couldn't touch her toes. I was the most that I wore it with the badge of honor. I'm so fast and strong. I'm not flexible. No. And then I got into it and I was like, oh. And now I crave stretching and Pilates more than weight training. So you never know. You never know what you might actually enjoy.
Yeah, I love that. 4, proper warm up and cool down, or flexibility, mobility. And this is your spiel. All I'm going to say is we aren't 15 anymore. We got to treat our bodies with respect. We have to acknowledge that like we're going to continue to get stiffer and stiffer if we don't just keep up with it consistently. Lately I've been doing that hyperflex gun? Hyperrise?
Oh yeah. Hyperrise, I think it's called.
Yeah, I was gifted one years ago. Collected dust for the longest time. Found the charger. Oh my God, Michael and I, every single night we use it. And then I've been doing a 10-minute just like little stretch when we're watching TV. It's something as simple as that. Like I don't necessarily put aside a lot of time to do this, but I'm at least like getting into that habit of like trying to wring out my body essentially.
I love that.
What do you have to say? Hit me.
Look good, feel good. You know that old saying? We're all anti-aging skincare. We like all want to look 21 for the rest of our lives. We put so much time into it, sleep, night routine. But who cares if you feel like you can't move? I feel younger in my 30s than I did at 24. And I will repeat it until it sticks with everybody because I didn't do mobility and strength training. Like once again, we've said it, 25 is downhill. No. You just have to put in the work. And as soon as you have to get to a point and with mobility and flexibility that you feel comfortable. And like you said, you just have to see that little bit of progress and that how much less pain you're in. And then it will become so craveable. And I know that sounds crazy and you're rolling your eyes, but I feel so much younger when I'm consistent with that. And as soon as I start to feel old, I'm like, have you been doing your flexibility and strength training? So if you're a girl who's putting on her retinol, doing the red light therapy, anti-aging, you better be doing your mobility exercises too.
I love it. My friend Tom, actually, you guys should check him out. I think it's Tom Fish online. He took like a couple classes, like expert classes in mobility. He was in the military. He's a big strength, lifting guy, and he's in his 30s. And he focuses solely on mobility now on all of his platforms. And it is so cool to see like his improvement and just like his overall health and well-being just solely from adding mobility in, because he didn't traditionally do it. And then that's why he took the classes and he like wanted to actually learn, how it could benefit you. So definitely check him out if you guys are curious on that. I've learned a lot from him. But next up is functional training. I thought this was kind of a cool one because a lot of us like brush over it. We love lifting because of the aesthetic, right? Like, absolutely. I love my physique to look fantastic. Don't get me wrong. But like to focus on functional training is to focus, real life movements, like to help you improve daily. So this is really important when we're older, right? Of course, like as we get older, especially as women with losing muscle, like we want to focus to make sure we can still carry our groceries, we can still lift things, you know, if we move, whatever it may be. But I even think like about how moms are carrying babies. Like my friend Kayla always is with her baby strapped on, like she's doing everything. And I just think it's cool to add functional training into it and like really acknowledge that and like try and play into what you need to improve on in your life. What do you have to say on that?
This one actually might be perfect if you're someone who's like, oh, I don't know what goals, like aside from just like the classic, like what should I actually work towards? This is from Peter Attia's book Outlive, which is like top selling longevity book right now. I read it all, doing a whole video on it. And the biggest premise behind it is what he calls his centurium decathlon. So the whole idea with his training is think of 10 things, a decathlon, that you want to do when you're 100 and train for it. And that's at first you're like, okay, you're not going to be doing ultras, but you'll want to run after your kids. You might be a dancer. You might be on to swim. You might want to be able to do a 5-kilometer hike. You know what I mean? Like, and actually, I don't think we think of training like that. You're like, oh, what's going to matter in 10, 20, 30 years to my quality of life? And do that. So if one is picking up your kids, do your squats. If one is you want to be able to hike, do your hot girl walks. So like think that way, like and that's a nice way to like think about your exercise routine for pure longevity.
I love that. Even I'm sure your mom as well. My mom will talk about how she has some friends that are around her age, you know, in their 60s, and they'll be like, "Oh, I need to move homes because I can't have stairs." Where it's like you should be using those stairs to really work with that. Or even like she loves to go on hikes with her girlfriends, and they're like, "Oh, I can't do that anymore." And it's like it's all in your head. You can work towards anything for sure.
Actually, I have to say one quote because this has stuck with me so much that I was like, this should be the goal about our moms. Sorry to interrupt because this is so good. You just want to be this. And this is why it's important. My mom, without exposing her age, 60s, she still does personal training. And she trains this one lady, won't expose the lady. And what she said, she was doing the one class and she was having troubles like sitting down, getting up, or whatever the case is. She was just really stiff and sore. And she goes to my mom and she's like, oh, this is so hard. You'll get it when you're my age. And my mom's sitting there being like, oh yeah, I'm sure it'll be tough. My mom's like 10, 15 years older than her. But just because my mom consistently did the workouts and like consistently keeps moving, this lady who's way younger than her is like, oh, she just doesn't get it. But my mom's sitting here and be like, I'm a decade older than you. So just if you don't use it, you lose it.
Absolutely. I love that. All right. Next up is nutrition. Fuel your body with a balanced diet that, of course, supports your fitness goals. And for me, I think this is something that like I always struggle with because for me, I'm like, I meal prep. I don't have a lot of options where we live, like to even really do that. So I have to get really creative, and I really have to focus on like my nutrition intake and like my portions. Even with like I live with a man, and sometimes I'm making portions that are for him, and then I'm having them too. And then I'm like, oh, I don't understand. Like, why aren't I seeing changes in my body? I'm like, oh, well, once I actually track my macros, I'm like, oh, I'm like way over on this. But I just think it's something that we should be aware of. It's kind of like this elephant in the room where it's really uncomfortable to talk about and acknowledge when it comes to our fitness goals, but it does have some power to it.
Yeah. And I think for nutrition for me is like thinking how I can add more that sounds exciting. And I found that's always the best way I looked at nutrition. I'll just say the one I'm doing this year. And I think we overthink it when we don't know, like we don't have a thing that tracks everything for us. Nothing will be perfect. There's so much. Someone will tell you vegan, carnivore, But I found this printout and it sounds so basic, but it's just like seasonal fruits and vegetables. And it just shows like every month, the 7 things that are most in season. And that's my goal for every month. It's like, just find recipes that incorporate that. And then it just forces me to try new things. See, like it is more nutrient dense. It is more local. It's better for the body. It's not that crazy, but then it just kind of, I think if you feel more connected to your food, that's also important. Like as much as we'll hear all these, get enough protein, get enough calories. I think when you remember like where the food came from, I think there's something magical that just naturally happens, and just having that faith with yourself, easier said than done. I get like, sometimes I'm like, shut up. It's hard to intuitive eat. Like not everyone has that, but you know what I mean? Like romanticize the food. There's something I love of like pomegranates are in. I never eat pomegranates. How can I incorporate pomegranates? And that's, I don't know. I find it's a fun way and it keeps me out of that mundane. And so maybe that's something for someone else to try.
Yeah, I love that. All right, next up, rest and recovery. Prioritize those rest days. I think this is slept on a lot of the times where I'm so guilty of this, where I love movement every single day and I'll be like, oh, I could go for a run every single day. I'm like, no, have your rest day. It's okay. Like go for a walk instead with Michael and Bentley or whatever it may be. I just think we don't prioritize that as much as we prioritize our strength training days or whatever it may be.
Yeah, I need to sleep more. I hate it. I hate sleeping. It's so boring, but it's so important. That's why I talk about it so much on the channel and on here and everywhere, because I'm so bad at it. It's just, but it's so good when you're sleeping. When I have a regular sleep schedule, I'm more creative, I'm more active, I'm more social, like everything aligns. And then when I'm not sleeping and I hate my life, I'm like, wonder what that could be.
What do you mean you're bad at it?
Like I'll just won't go into my bed. Like I'm actually a great sleeper, but I'm like, well, my life is a lot more fun. Like, I like getting up early. Like I don't enjoy sleeping. Like I find it very boring.
Okay, yeah. You would love like, being a vampire.
My dream, if I could choose a superpower, it would be, I only needed half an hour of sleep. All I needed was the crawl into bed, get cozy, drift off. 10 minutes, kind of half awake. Ooh, my bed's cozy. Oh, good to go. Perfection. That's all I need.
Funny. All I'm thinking about is how in Twilight, like, they don't sleep, and how Robert Pattinson, like, Edward would go to bed with Bella, and he'd just stare at her all night. That's gotta be so boring. That's gotta be so boring.
I go do things. I wouldn't just sit there.
Like, for sure. That's just where my brain went to.
Yeah.
And that's called ADHD.
True. You know what? I'd be a billionaire. Too. Also, if I didn't have to sleep. That's why they're all billionaires. They don't sleep. They get extra 12 hours.
Totally. I feel like I like my sleep in the sense of like, I really like my sleep routine, like of getting into bed and like, I like watch a comfort show. I have sleepy time tea, but I agree. Like getting up early, there's nothing more beautiful than being up when no one else is. Just have your whole day. I live on Atlantic time. Yeah. So I'm 4 hours ahead of Pacific time and I love it. It's like no one's up like around me. I miss that. It's just a beautiful thing. I love it. But then when I go I'm going to LA soon and I'm like, well, shoot, I'm technically getting up at 2 a.m. every single day. This is going to be a rough one. Yep.
It's why I hate being Pacific time. But then I'm a night owl too. So that's also the problem. I also love staying up past everyone, but I love being up before everybody. So I'm going to work on my sleep and recovery this year, like every year. But I'm not perfect.
I like that. Keep me updated. 9, stress management. So maybe adding in a little meditation, yoga, just really paying attention. For me, it was like, pay attention to how you feel after a workout. And that kind of goes along, like if you're doing workouts that really stress your body, you don't love them, how can you like alter them to like what's going to serve you, serve your goals? I think sometimes we think the only way to get to our goal is to do X, Y, and Z, when like that's not always the answer. You could totally figure out a different route. And if that means adding in more Pilates, adding in even maybe you don't weight train and you're like, oh, like I want to see how this goes. Like just try it all and see how your body reacts. That's kind of how I viewed stress management. Because I can tell you like every single person, do yoga, do meditation. But like what's really going to help you is like what's putting stress on your body.
I agree. I'm going to use, because I think this sums it up best. If you've seen the reel, I'm sorry. But this was like the little mantra I had for myself over the last year that I felt really helped with stress management, because stress, like I'm always stressed, but then like the thought of dealing with stress management is just something else on my calendar. And that would stress me out. I'm like, cool, I'm overworked, I'm stressed. And now I have to fit in time to deal with my stress. Great. And it was just like exhausting. Like, and so it's this nice fantasy idea that I'm going to stop, I'm going to meditate for 10 minutes. I'm going to go on a walk. And it was like, almost like, like self-care, like it was exhausting. And that's such a toxic way to think of it. I'm not saying it's good, but that's so like what I started to doing. And it's like feeling stuck, walk outside. Overwhelmed, take a deep breath. Want to feel happy? Find the beauty in right now. Feeling lost? Write and organize your thoughts. Feeling just like blah? Go listen to music and dance. And just like having those simple little things. They said it's like, oh, I'm just feeling like, just 2 minutes. Just go listen to music, dance around. Or like they said, overwhelmed. Go outside, get some fresh air, and just having those like little just something in your day instead of being like you have to have this perfectly managed thing, because that's the goal down the road, is having a work-life balance routine that keeps you managed and not burn out. But if you're not even at that stage, just having like little things when you're feeling anxious, sad, whatever, that you're like a deep breath or something like that. There's what's been working for me.
I love that. That's a cool mantra. All right, last but not least, wearable tech. And this, I think it's cool that we have access to this now. I'm not a tech girly on the account of I broke my Apple Watch. But I do have like the Nike Run Club. Like I'm trying to get there, okay? I'm trying.
Love.
But this is your spiel. Go for it.
Mm-hmm. I love tech. I love wearable because I'm a nerd. I love numbers. I love going back to being like, why was my run so good back then? Like, what was I doing? Like, reflect back on things that worked well and having that data on myself. But you just have to know yourself. You have to know, will it negatively impact you or will it allow you to keep accountable? Here's also we have so much tech counteracting us. We're on our phones, we're on things. So if we have something else that's counteracting it, whether it be our Oura rings to tell us we need to sleep and not be on our phone, or whether it be the Apple Watch reminding you to take a deep breath because you're anxious. Like I was like, you know what? We got so much tech in our life. The only way to fight it is with itself. And so that's why I'm a fan of it, as long as you can just not have it negatively affect you. Like the sleep, for me, the Oura ring, I love it because it's gamified my sleep. That actually makes me want to sleep because I can win at sleep. Like I can be the best sleeper. So that makes me want to sleep, which sounds awful, but I'm like, it works. That's the only thing that's gotten me to go to bed. But at the flip side, I know if I've had a bad sleep, then that's going to make me like, I purposely don't look at it because I know I'm going to like mentally tell myself I'm tired and that's not going to help. So like days that I have a bad sleep score, I lie to myself. I gaslight myself. I'm like, oh, this tech isn't that accurate.
This piece of crap.
I'm like, oh, they're not that. But if it gives me a good sleep score, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm the best sleeper. So as long as you can not take them too seriously because they're not perfectly accurate, they're a nice tool.
Yeah. Okay, I love it. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, that is our 10 tips for creating your fitness routine. Now we thought we'd get into, instead of doing confession sessions, we think we would do, a couple questions for you that you guys asked and wrote in. So first things first, going along with, the fitness routine life, they wanted to know, someone asked, best all-around weightlifting, leg, and upper body day shoe. And I feel like you're the girly that would know this.
Weightlifting, really the most important thing is flat bottom shoe. You don't want something squishy because the whole point of weight training is the like change of direction and velocity against the ground. So you want it as flat as possible because if it's squishy, that's going to absorb and you just want it flat. So I could go crazy in it and it depends how much money, but the fact you're asking, you're probably just like kind of getting into it. I like a hybrid shoe. Lululemon has them, the Nike Metcons, because then you can do more than weightlift. Because for me, I'll pop on the treadmill sometimes and run. But you can get like a true weightlifting shoe, like the Rocomos. Oh my God, I'm blanking on the name. Or you can just do a Converse, flat bottom for weight training. And it's same for upper body because you're still, even if it's shoulder press, you're pushing against the ground.
Okay, cool. I'll have to check them out. Mm-hmm. All right, next up, how to change your running mindset. And they said they have a tendency to feel sorry for themselves when they run. So I wasn't too sure what they meant, but maybe they mean like they get in their head, maybe they think they're a poor runner, maybe like they don't like it. I mean, not a lot of us like running, let's be honest. How would you change your running mindset?
I think just realize running it's not a number, it's not a race. Ironically, it's like what humans were meant to do. And there's no real right or wrong way to do it. You can improve, but just get out and it's totally about you. And anyone who would judge you is an asshole and not a good runner. Because anyone who's actually a really good runner just wants other people to run and be a part of it. So if you think other people are going to judge you, like the people that actually would know running form and all that are just happy to see you running. Do you know what I mean? And so, and we're all in our own head. I think that's another thing. Running's public. People think of people staring at me. I couldn't tell you a single person I've noticed running. And I ran every day for 400 days. I couldn't tell you a single person I ran past aside from friends. So like we're all in our own heads. So it's just about, and take it slow. You don't have like realizing running can be slow. Put on some good music. Just try and make it a vibe. Try and make it a vibe and focus on yourself. How about you? What do you think?
I agree with that. I think, and I can totally relate to this because when I started running, I told myself I was bad at running. I was slow. I didn't have the body for it. Like I just was literally any excuse, complete victimizing myself. And what helped me was just doing it anyways. And like, even when I hated it, I used to like have this burning thing in my throat when I would run outside. Like I would have every excuse to be like, well, I just can't run outside. Like, oh, I don't know, maybe I have asthma. Where I'm like, I just got used to it, and like slowly started running. Like I wasn't trying to be anything. I wasn't trying to look cool. I was just trying to exist and get through this like mile run. And then maybe a couple weeks later, I do 2 miles and then I do 3 miles. And then like I literally tricked myself into liking it. And now I love it. Like when I want to clear my head, I want to go for a run. Like it is one of my favorite things to do. And it's like by myself, I will have people that are like, oh, let's go running together. I will never fucking run with you. Like I don't like running with people. I want to run by myself. And like it's my me time. And I tell them respectfully, no, like I'm a solo girl and that's okay. Yeah. And like, you just have to find what works for you, what groove works for you, what mileage works for you, what time. Like I still run a 10 minute, probably more mile. And I'm okay with it. Like you don't have to be somebody that runs a 7-minute mile if you don't want to. And if you're happy at 10. So definitely like write out all your pros and cons and then see how you can combat those cons. Like how I was constantly saying like, oh, I'm a slow runner. Well, how do you combat that? Because like people can improve on that. And like, why does that matter? I'm not running away from anything. I'm not trying to win a race.
Yeah. And remember, evolutionary wise, humans were only meant to do 3 things: walk, run, and pick things up. So like literally every single person has the evolution. Like you might have been better for faster or slower distance. Like that's the thing. But like either way, we're all built to run.
Yeah.
So remember that.
Okay. Next question. How do you deal with seasonal depression, hormone cycles to stay motivated and not just rot?
I won't get into hormone cycles as much unless we're talking like menstrual, but I think seasonal depression comes to 3 things. Morning sunlight. You just got to just try and get out there. Get out in the cold and here's actually a game changer for me. I went on Pinterest and found cutest winter outfits I possibly could. And then I live somewhere cold, so this is worth the money. And then I bought 2 winter jackets, good pants, good shoes that I'm like, this is a fit. This I want to take an Instagram photo of, and I'm as warm as can be. And then that makes me excited. I still do the same things I do in the summer. I go get my coffee, go run little errands outside, and I still do my hot girl walks and that. So I just made sure to get really cute outfits. And I know not everyone's like that because you might not be somewhere cold. But if you're like me and you live 8 months of the year in the cold, you might as well spend more money on your winter clothes than your summer clothes. So there's my idea.
And that is called girl math.
Right there. It's for your health. That winter jacket, that Lululemon or like the Super Puff, the Aritzia Super Puff, you buy it. Girl math. It's health. It's
girl
for longevity.
Math. Yes.
Girl math.
Absolutely. All right. Next, we have 2 more questions. Next one. Getting your partner to make healthy habits. That's a good one.
This is tough. Luckily my partner is very healthy now, but I was with a partner
who has to be.
Yeah, he's forced to. But even some things he does, he's very set in his ways. So occasionally there'll be something that I'm like, I know more than you. or my ex, who was actually like the complete opposite. And you can't tell them it's healthy for them. You can't. You have to lie. Not actually, but like you have to sneak it in. Like, you know what I mean? Whether it be like, oh, try this, or like you just kind of have to put it there. Like, don't ask. Just make a side dish that's, got some broccoli in it. You know what I mean? It's slowly incorporating the things and like, so they enjoy it. And like, if someone's naturally not like a health person, I think as soon as they hear health, they think hard work and it tastes bad. So just kind of mask it. Just make the side dish. Just put it in there. Just be like, oh, let's try this. Do you want to come join this class with me? Like, you know what I mean? You just kind of have to mask it. And then one day, hopefully they're like, I actually really liked that like potato salad you made the other day. Can you make it again? And that's how you get them started down the rabbit hole of health. What are your thoughts?
I feel like I'm trying to think with Michael and I, we're very open in our communication. So like we'll be very blunt with each other. And that's just because that's who I am as a person. And so he's learned like he can to an extent be blunt with me because once again, I'm sensitive. But we'll pretty much call each other out on it. But I need that in a relationship. So like if I'm doing a habit that's not good for me or not serving me, he'll call me out. And like it could be something as small as like melatonin. He'll be like, why are you taking that every day? Like you're becoming reliant on it sleeping. Like that. I'm like, yeah, he's totally right. So instead I bought magnesium and that's what I'm switching to. Or even like he works a lot and I respect that about him, but like he won't necessarily make time to exercise. And like, that's important to me to have a partner that does. Because like longevity wise, functional training, like, hey, I want you to be capable, if X, Y, and Z ever happens. So I told him like, hey, you should really make time to, think about fitting it in between. Like you may have to become a morning gym person to fit it into your busy routine. So like he came up with like how to push, X, Y, and Z meetings so he could actually prioritize it. Cause I'm like, this is important to me as well for your overall health. And like, so maybe there's two ways. You can mask it and you could totally be like, and that's a very gentle way of putting it. But if you have a relationship like me where you're very open, blunt, and just, I need that. Otherwise I'm going to miss the mark. Then like, you can also just vocalize it to them and do it in a loving way. I'm never attacking. I'm never like, you must work out. I want you buff. That's never what I say. I'm more like, hey, I've noticed you haven't been able to like prioritize going to the gym. I think that's an important thing for you. Like, do you need help with your schedule? Do you need like, let's figure out a time for you. And he's like, oh yeah, totally. Okay. Or like, I'll make you a protein shake when you get back. It'll help your goals, whatever it may be.
I like that. Cause it's just knowing your partner. Cause some people, you know what I mean? You tell them something, they get defensive. They're like, no, I don't need that. And then they'll purposely go the other way.
Oh,
and you know what I mean? And that's what I was like, I know people like that who you're like, you know what, maybe you consider this. And then they think it's an attack on their ego. And so they'll never do it. They'll never try that because then their ego is attached. So that's where you got to slip it in and make it think it's their idea. Yeah. And I hope you're not dating someone like that.
Yeah.
But it happens. And then, but like you said, ideally you're also in a relationship where you can just be like, hey, let's do this together and like support them. That's the healthy thing.
Yeah. I also think a great takeaway is if you are finding you are like that, because we are super guilty of it. I know I can be super guilty of getting defensive if Michael brings something up. And just take note of that because like, why are you defensive of it? There's probably truth behind it. And like, also, it's super good to acknowledge the faults in your life instead of like, we're watching this so random. We're watching Hell's Kitchen right now. And there's this guy that is so narcissistic on it. Michael called him, is it macadamial narcissism?
It sounds like something.
It's like 3 deadly thing where like you're narcissistic, you won't take responsibility. And this guy literally, it was comical because he was like never acknowledging faults in his cooking. Not once. He was so cocky the whole time. And we were both like, oh my gosh, this man will not acknowledge his faults. Like it's so good and healthy for you, even if it's a relationship, a friendship, whatever, like acknowledge like, oh shoot, I should have handled that differently. Or like just try and look at it in a different perspective. Because when people are trying to communicate with you and trying to help you, there's truth to it. There's a reason you're getting defensive and just try and see it as like a fly on the wall. Like try to take 100%. Away the ego, the personal. It's hard to do, but it's so helpful as like a self-growth thing.
Yep. We all need that.
Yeah. All right, we'll leave you with one last juicy tea. And that's
Mm.
because we're always transparent on this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want you guys to ever think we're hiding anything. But this question came in and I thought, okay, well, it's time to address her. You guys asked why we left, why I left Gymshark. And
Mm-hmm.
I personally, I think a lot of you think that like people will leave and they don't address and like you feel like a little left out in the dark. And I think have a perspective on us, you know, trying to also comprehend it on our side as it was a relationship. But also at the end of the day, there's no tea. There's nothing crazy. I'm sure, you know, other people, I can't speak for others. But
Mm-hmm.
for me, and a lot of you guys are saying, why are a lot of people leaving in the sense of like, it's normal. Relationships, like all good things come to an end. We must grow. Like you can't stay with a company forever. And you don't need to villainize anything. You don't need to come up with a crazy story on a thread, whatever it is. I don't know what you guys are thinking. But I did want to be transparent because I don't really talk about it. And so I thought, hey, I don't want you guys to think we're ignoring this. There's no tea at all. It's just time to move on. And that's simple and that's normal. And all good things come to an end.
Yeah. And it's just like one of those like contracts come to an end. And sometimes you're like, oh, this will work for both of us. Or it was like a great time. Like, I think it's just that's kind of the evolution
It's
of
as simple as a
Gymshark.
contract. Totally.
And it's like, you got to think of like, oh, what journey am I on in my life? And you're like, I feel very aligned with myself. I know you feel very aligned. Even like, we're still love all the people there. And it's like, they're seeming more who they are. And sometimes those are like alignments aren't there as much, or it's just not even like aligned. They're just like, yeah, we had a great chapter together and I'm going to go work on this and you're going to go work on that. And like, I still support the brand and all the people. And it's something like that. And the irony to it all, I think we're all warped from like that would have been like 2016, like why I love Gymshark YouTube video. Like that was such a thing. And it was so much tea. It was always tea. And so like everyone's waiting for that video. And like versus like naturally a lot of people are like, oh yeah, contracts are ending and we're not renewing or we're going this way or whatever the case is for a lot of people. And I think like people explain that, but not everyone hears the Instagram story, the one post or the one mentioned in a YouTube video. But because there isn't tea, there's no why I left Gymshark tea YouTube video. So everyone's like, what's happening? It's like contracts are ending and people are going and some they're like, yeah, I think that's all it is. But I think people are like, where's the tea? There's no tea. Yeah, there's no tea.
Yeah. But if you think about it, you and I were created through Gymshark because that's how we met. So yes, we are thankful and will forever be thankful. And
so thankful.
Yeah, we wouldn't have this podcast because we would never have met in Denver. So overall, great time. Good vibes.
Beautiful chapter. Beautiful chapter.
We did essentially start from this, so we should probably address it because people were asking. And what a better way to get you all to listen to the end of a podcast to hear this. So
perfect. Little dangle.
A little dingle dangle.
The showbiz clickbait.
It's the showbiz, baby. All right. Well, we are going to wrap up this episode. I hope you guys liked it. Don't forget to check out our Instagram, our YouTube. Leave us 5 stars if you'd like. Write us a review so we can read it and giggle. And have a great week.
Bye.
Bye.